Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space. Got an art journal page for you today. I haven't put an art journal page up for a little while. I have lots filmed and not edited. Editing, I can't talk tonight. Editing is not my favourite job, so tonight I decided I will sit down and do some editing and do some voiceovers. I tend to do them in chunks. I tend to have to be in the mood to do it, and usually the mood is when I'm putting off doing other things, like tomorrow I've got a whole day of paperwork, and I should have started that today. Oops. Okay. Back to the layout. So working in my altered book. I love working in altered books. You can see the text. Sometimes I incorporate what's in the book in my layout. Sometimes I just cover it all up like this page. So this page has been inspired by a page I saw on Mike Deakin's channel. I'll link his channel below. If I can find the video again, I will link it, but it was a while ago. He started with a black gesso page and then laid all these colours on top of it. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I thought, let's copy that. Let's copy their technique or be inspired by their technique. So just spraying a bit of water on that page. I wanted to sit flat, but sometimes in my altered book the pages won't sit flat. And I've also got some masking tape down the spine to help it. So that black gesso was Dina Wakley black gesso. It's quite old. I bought it and sort of forgot. It got packed up in a box and I forgot about it. So I'm trying to use up old stuff as I find it. Speaking of old stuff, this is some old washi that is being not so sticky and not peeling off, so I thought let's use some of that. So you can't see a lot of the washi after I can see bits of it. So I'm all about a mission between now and the end of the year is to using up bits and odds and sods and old stuff, just to get it used up, and it's fun just to use up stuff because then I can buy more stuff. I'll have space in my boxes. So there's some measuring tape washi I picked up as well. Don't even ask me where that one's from. Have no idea. I went through a stage and bought, one or two, maybe put a few zeros on there, rolls of washi tape. When the craze of washi tape was really big going back quite a few years. Washi tape's still quite big, but you don't see it everywhere. When I used to do shows about 6 years ago, there was a stall that just sold washi tape. Like, washi tape was big back then. It come in to be the hit thing. Oh, there's some black with leaves. You can still see some of that in the layout. So I decided to grab a few washies and just have a bit of play and stick it on. I was helping it stick on with some glue. I don't trust washi just to stick down on its own, especially over paint. So usually I help it along a bit. So now onto the colours. So I decided to apply these with a palette knife. Can't remember how Mike Deakin applied this. Could have been with a palette knife. All I can remember is black paint, black to start with, and then colours on the front. So the first one was a heavy body, sort of fuchsia pink from Spotlight ages ago. This one's a little bottle of lime green I got in a class kit. I don't even know whether that company's still around anymore. I'm trying to see what the company is. No, don't know. I think it's by Ranger, and I don't know. So just drying those off in between because I didn't want to muddy up my colours. I love how the background turned out, and I love my image that I used. You saw the lady holding a pineapple in front of her face. Why that image? I have no idea. I pulled it out of a magazine and put it in I fussy cut a lot of magazines. I had a 5-hour train trip one day. I had to go deliver something, and it was 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back, and I thought, oh god, what am I going to do and sit on the train? So I took a bunch of magazines and sat and fussy cut for 5 hours on a train. Yes. So now I've got a whole big Ziploc bag of fussy cut images all ready to go, and then I just flip through that bag and find something for my art journal, and this is one of the ones I found. And I decided I'll pull the colours from it. That's where most of the colours come from. And I decided I'd slap them on with a palette knife just to be something different. I like trying things. So this orange this come from Spotlight ages ago, and it was with a glow-in-the-dark one, like for $1. So I do pick up paint when it's quite cheap. I do have a couple of large boxes of paint bits and pieces at the moment I am trying to use up. I bought some kids' paints in the past. I've still got Kaiser paints from when I had a shop 12 years ago. Shh, don't tell anyone that. Trying to not buy any more paint. I said that a little while ago. So this is some dylusions paint, and even though I just took the wrapper off it, it's several years old. I have a love-hate relationship with dylusions paint. I think this one was spilling when I used to sell in my store at one stage when I did some big craft shows. I would order in some, and this would be going back about 5 years ago. Ooh, could be that old. Oh, no wonder it doesn't want to work anymore. I love the consistency of the Dylusions paints, and I love the mattness of it, but unfortunately if you leave it for a little while, it dries out. It's just that style of container, and as you can see, that one was a sealed container, but I think it's sealed because it was leaking. So that means it wasn't sealed. And it's just gone all gloopy, but I was determined to use it. Not sure whether I like the brightness and the big blobs of yellow, but sometimes I have the philosophy with my art journal pages is if I don't like the end result, that's okay. I've taken time out of my day, sat down with my art supplies, got messy, threw some paint around, and had fun. I don't know, do you like the big yellow spots, or are they just too much? Maybe they're lemon she's like juggling around the pineapple, because I'm sort of putting the pineapple sort of in the middle with the image. I don't know, let me know. I like the background, but that paint was very gloopy and very blobby, almost like texture paste in the end. I'm going through my Dylusions paints and actually throwing them out, and I will not repurchase them. I may retry them again if she changes the bottle. And they're possibly a good paint if it's your only paint source and you use them probably within 6 to 12 months of opening the bottles. They're not a paint that will store. I've had tubes of paint from Kaiser Craft, as I said, from this shop 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and they're still good. Because with the tubes you can squeeze most of the air out, and it's the air that affects it, and I think it's her formula as well. The Diane Reevy, I love her list, all her stuff except for the paints. So now just doing some mark making with some paint markers. These are Chalkola paint markers I got really, really cheap on Amazon when it first came to Australia. They're like $1 a packet if you joined up for their and paid their monthly fee. So I did that for a couple of months and did my Christmas shopping and that year. I'm no longer a member of Amazon until I see something else I want, then I'll join up for a couple of months and cancel again. I'm terrible, aren't I? I'm sure a lot of people do it like that. So just adding some spots, and that sort of brought the white back into it, because there is white in that title, and it says the anti-depression diet. I just thought that was funny. I love that the pineapple had sunglasses on, and I love the colours in it, and it was just a quirky image. And sometimes I have no rhyme or reason for the images I use, I just like some aspect of it, and this was just funny. I probably wish the words weren't there, but then I didn't have to put a title on my page, I suppose. So then I decided to glue my image down with just a glue stick. The paints I was using were quite matte, so I didn't feel I had to get matte gel medium out, and I didn't want to give a shine to my book. There is a bit of a shine to the paints anyway. I didn't want to, in this instant, go over it with matte gel medium, so it worked just as well. So that big blob of yellow paint did take several days to dry. I had to go lay my art journal out for a couple of days because it was just not drying. So here I go, just deciding to clean up my stencil, and even couldn't get it off. It was just, that tube of paint, or the pot of paint, is now gone in the bin. So then I decided to go and use up all my other colours, because I thought, well, if that yellow is cactus, I may as well go and grab some of my other colours. That's what I ran away to do. I thought I cut this little bit out. Oops. So I went and grabbed my colours and just thought I would add some more paint to that drop paper that I have behind me. You can see I've sort of stamped on it, and I've done some stenciling, and I've done some drawn around stenciling. That will become a background in my art journal eventually. So I got a piece of deli, or what I call deli paper here in Australia. If you in Australia, you can go up to like the meat department, like your sliced hams and sliced meat and cheese and stuff like that, and they will put your goods in a plastic bag and then wrap it in this like, it's almost like newsprint, but it doesn't have the print on it, and it's really thin, and I like it to collage in, so I use that a lot as drop paper and to put this extra paint on, because when I tear it up and put it in the background of my art journal pages, it's quite thin. So just scraping that paint over, that took again a long time to dry, and I'll have to put several layers of paint over the top of it just to make it look nice to put in my art journal. But I thought, if I don't get these paints out and put them over paper or Sometimes I will just open up a page in my art journal and just paint a background, and then I will sit that background there until I come and decide to do a page. So I have been doing that a bit with the paints and filling up some pages in my art journal, but this night I decided to just try to use up the rest of these Dylusions paints just to get them done with. And I don't like wasting things. I'm terrible. I will keep the smallest scrap of paper. I will squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the tube of paint until every little morsel's out. So when a product like this goes bad, or a roll of washi tape goes unusable, it's hard because you've spent your hard-earned money on it. And yes, I probably shouldn't have left my paints this long before I used them again, but also a product should last too. An art supply shouldn't go bad in that amount of time. So that green, that one's bad. That one's bad as well. So I was opening these up just to try to see if I could rejuvenate them. I've heard stories about, yes, you can add water to them. You can add, the white was just totally hard. You can add different colours to them to rejuvenate them. That one was a bit soft still. I think that was one of the newer ones, so it wouldn't have been quite as old. And I think the yellow was one of the newer ones, because I know I originally got some colours and I got some other colours. So here I'm just using the palette knife to basically, and the red was really good. So I've taken those three colours and made some pattern paper and put it down in my art journal. So here's some close-up photos of my art journal page at the end. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Let me know if you use Dylusions paints and have they done the same thing mine have. Bye for now.